subscribing, and leaving comments.
I almost said something I would have regretted the rest of my broadcast career, so I will not say it. But I am very interested in this next subject, and I hope you are too. If you have never had a Sasquatch encounter, we're going to try to get you as close as possible. Our first guest has also never had one, but he is convinced that something is out there in the woods waiting to be discovered. Please say hello to Sasquatch sleuth Larry Lund. Hey, Larry. Good to see you here.
Thank you.
All right, now, you have not seen one.
No.
When did you first become interested in these?
Actually, it was back in '67.
But only until recently have you made it, I guess, public that you
The last 5 years.
In the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So why did you finally come out and say, okay, now I'm going to admit I like Sasquatches, I'm going to look for them? Why did you do that?
Well, I read for a long time, and the Patterson film came out in '67. I was real interested, and I kept reading everything that would, possibly relate to it, like the Yeti and the Abominable Snowman. And then all of a sudden, I met some people that had the same beliefs. And they said, you would be good to organize something, get together, and let's make something happen. So I came out, and there's been quite a bit of following.
Well, and I guess what you do best is you can determine if it's a fake photograph, if it's a fake track, that sort of thing?
Yes, fake tracks are easier for me to determine. A photograph has to be digitally analyzed or really brought up close and really worked with.
All right, now we've got I think a picture of the snowstorm video. Is that what we're going to look at now?
Yes, it's from Ohio.
All right.
This was sent with no return address, just the Ohio stamp on it.
All right, now that's very similar to something that we've seen before that looks like it could be a man in a gorilla suit.
This is what we think.
That's what you think?
Yes.
Oh, so you think this is a fake?
Yes.
Okay, and why do you think it's a fake?
Well, the Patterson film, like I was saying, was made in 1967. There was no technology for making movie things as real as they are today, and out there in the woods especially. And you can watch the Patterson film and see muscles contract in the buttocks, and as she turns her breasts swing and undulate over when it's blown up, you can really see detail that's moving.
You're certain it's not a film from Deja Vu?
No.
Okay. That's a local Seattle joke. I took a look at this Patterson film this afternoon, folks, and he is right. And unfortunately, we couldn't get a hold of it because the owner of the film wanted $1,000 for us to be able to show it on television.
Right.
And we thought that was outrageous, and we wouldn't roll over to play that. Let's see. Do we have some sketches too? Do we have a picture? Or yeah. Okay. Now, what picture are we looking at here?
This is a piece of the Patterson film. This is the one picture that's in the public domain that can be used without having to pay for it.
And here you're saying that the reason you believe now that's one of our staff members.
Yes.
Now, what is this? This is a sketch of somebody.
This is one from Yakult, Washington, the Goldammer incident that happened in 1989. The mother and stepson were at home, and all of a sudden this creature walked by, and the horses were raising Cain outside. And this was a good 15-minute long encounter they had, and we interviewed them for, well, I still see them, and it started in '89. And their story hasn't changed a bit. We had an artist do that rendition from their description.
Now, why is it that we don't have a Sasquatch body to look at? I mean, of all the years this has gone on, why haven't we got some bones or something we can take a look at?
This is the very first question people usually ask. If you are a hunter or if you know one, ask him how many times he's been in the woods and found a dead bear carcass or a skeleton or an elk skeleton, a complete skeleton laying there, because nature takes care of their own. Porcupines and field mice are big bone eaters. They can take a whole elk in an evening and it'll be gone.
Is there anything common among the people who cite these Sasquatches? I know, like aliens, they always say, well, they had the same head, they describe the independent eyes and all of that sort of thing. Did anything happen that way with Sasquatches?
Generally, it's the same description body-wise. You'll get differences on the face, and that's usually when someone's had a real close encounter, say within 50 feet to, 50, 60 feet, you can get pretty good features. They will vary.
Are they dangerous? If we were to see one in the woods, would we be in jeopardy?
Well, I have several hundred reports, and of all the
Several hundred reports?
Of myself. There are many, many more that I don't have. John Green in Canada has many, many more. But you'll have reports of them wanting to walk away, and they don't run. They walk at a very fast pace, and they have such a large stride, they're gone real quick. But the only real bad case was the Bauman incident that Teddy Roosevelt wrote about in his book, The Wilderness Hunter. And when he was in Idaho on the Salmon River, one of his men told him the story of two trappers, and one had his back broken and killed.
Oh, okay.
But that's
Now,
because they messed with him.
they messed with them?
Yes.
What on earth would they want to do that for?
don't know.
These are 7 feet tall,
Yeah,
aren't they?
right.
Also, don't you have some, do we have a picture of or something of the Bigfoot droppings?
Yes.
All right. Oh, now there, take a look at that. Boy, I really wanted to show you that.
This is the real appetizing part of the business.
Yeah. Now, what makes you think that's what it is?
Well, for one thing, as you can see by the ruler there, it's quite large. It's this big around. And the other animals in the Pacific Northwest especially do not have droppings that shape. Coyotes and dogs, of course, do have similar, but they're much smaller. This one was analyzed, and it had hair from the deer, rabbit fur, and some vegetation.
So they are carnivorous, it sounds like.
Amnivorous.
Amnivorous, meaning they'll
They
eat...
eat vegetables or meat.
That's like me.
And fish, yes. Quite a bit like that.
Well, we're going to continue on this subject. In fact, one of the characters in the movie Harry and the Hendersons was based on our next guest. If you remember the film, Don Amici portrays Cliff Crook, who was a local guy and a self-proclaimed Bigfoot curator. Remember this? Take a look at this. There he is.
I'll buy them. But let's keep the price on the ground. Listen, you don't understand. I almost had him. I was that close. And what? Gun jam? Or maybe a change of heart? Had him in your sights and couldn't do it? What's the story this time?
I don't know. I think he was hit by a car.
Well, we're going to meet the real-life Cliff Crook after these messages. We're going to take a tour of his museum, too. Well, we are talking about Bigfoot, and that noise you hear, that is a Bigfoot noise that was recorded. That's the sound they make. See, you can hear that as someone stepping on them. We are talking about this with some locals who've spent a lifetime looking for Sasquatch, and we're going to bring out our next guest in just a minute. But first, we wanted to give you some insight into Cliff Crook. He is such a believer. He created a Sasquatch museum in his Bothell home. And Todd Pottinger gives us a tour. Take a look.
Cliff Crook's had a lot of prank calls over the years.
Bigfoot Central.
Believing in Bigfoot can be tough business.
No, they hung up.
His beliefs led him deep into the wilderness.
This is the head area, and
why can't these people ever seem to take a good photograph?
Well, I don't think they're really equipped to meet one of these things out in the woods.
A search to silence the doubters among us.
No, I'm doubtless.
No doubt, in Cliff's mind, since 1956, when he met Bigfoot around a campfire.
Yeah, it said agar, largar. It was definite words.
And then Bigfoot was gone,
real heavy breath.
and Cliff was hooked.
But I found hundreds of tracks over the years.
He's made those plaster and wax casts of those big footprints.
Clawed nails?
Definite clawed nails on the end of the toes.
And collected samples. All sorts of samples.
Sasquatch droppings?
Yeah, this is the most current.
Cliff keeps busy collecting Bigfoot reports from around the world.
You can have a sighting encounter, and then an encounter is different than a sighting if you haven't seen anything.
Yeah, you could hear him. Chill him. Or smell him.
I think they do emit that odor.
When you know this much, people depend on you.
Sometimes I get Bigfoot burnout.
What's that look in his eye?
Well, he's probably looking over at the woods. He wants to go back.
And when Bigfoot finally makes his big break...
I think it deserves its peace and freedom of the outdoors.
When the big guy comes out of the woods, Cliff will be there, telling the doubters among us, I told you so.
You know, you have to go with your gut feeling on who's credible and who isn't, and that's about all you have.
Please welcome Cliff Crook of Bigfoot Central. Hey, Cliff. How you doing? Good. Have a seat here.
Hi, Cliffy.
Cliff has brought some castings here. These are what you believe to be actual footprints.
Yes, they are. They really are.
And
These
why,
are-
of all the footprints that you've taken, we can get a camera to show one of them if you'd lift it up there. What makes you think they're authentic and some of the others are not?
Because the others are fakes.
Oh. All right.
And
All right, if I'm
these,
skeptic-
I think, are just authentic because no man could have made the steps and fake these. I've tracked enough to know if a man is faking a track or if something else is leaving him. And I believe these are authentic Bigfoot tracks.
You know, what you've said is that there are some people who have strapped these kinds of feet to horses, that University of Washington students have gone up and tramped around, and it's pretty easy to tell the difference in the stride. Is that right?
It is pretty easy to tell the difference in the stride, and there's a little gap between the footsteps. It's called a stance line or a straddle line. Mm-hmm. And if that line varies in the step or the stride, any bit of measurement
would show up.
That would mean that it's been faked.
Yeah. Now, Larry, it is possible that we could be actually looking at a brand new species, and there are so many cases of, like, the mountain gorilla was not even known until 1936.
That was the panda came out.
Oh, the panda in 36. Okay, so we didn't even we'd heard about these multicolored bears, but we thought it was mystery or something. It's possible then that the same thing could happen here.
Very possible.
That we don't know.
The Sudrox was just brought out in 1992. Had been seen in Vietnam by all the soldiers for years.
And explain what that is. The Sudrox is a half goat, half cow.
In appearance, it's a very own species, but it's more like a cow. It's closely related to the cow, but it's its very own species. It's a very short animal with long, curving horns.
And I was told, you told me actually before the show, you wish you had never seen one of these. You saw two of them, and it's changed your life in ways you didn't think it would.
Yeah, I wish I had never seen it. At the same time, when I look back, I'm glad I did, because there has been, I've learned a lot more about man and how clever he is, and I've learned about people a lot in tracking this creature.
Now, we have on the telephone for British Columbia the real-life guy who was portrayed in Harry and the Hendersons as LaForce. This is Rene Dahinden. Are you there, Rene?
Yes, I am.
And you're the inspiration behind the wacky gun-toting Sasquatch hunter?
Well, you can't blame me. I had nothing to do with it.
All right. Well,
everybody tells me it's me, but that was a great surprise to me, too.
Well, what makes you think that Bigfoot really exists?
Well, taking all the material together makes me lean in that direction. The thought that everything, all the eyewitness report, the Indian mythology legend, the footprints, the Patterson film is faked, is rather far-fetched. I'm leaning in the direction that there's something out there.
And how many would you guess are in existence? If there was a population?
I never answered that because, people say, what is it? How many are there? Where they come from? I'm still on the stage where I'm scratching my head and wonder if there are.
Have you ever seen one?
No.
You've not seen one?
No. The only thing I ever saw was footprints, which some of them I think that they were made by a living foot, a creature with a size foot like that, rather than some artificial means. It's if the Sasquatch exists, it's a tremendous, would be a tremendous scientific discovery, and in so many ways that it boggles the mind, really.
All right, Larry. Well, I'm sorry, Rene. Thank you very much for being with us. We enjoyed you in the film, if it was you or not. Okay, that was Rene Dahinden. We have to take a break now and move on with the show. But for your guys' sake, I hope it's true. I hope, because I know that it's not easy for you to go through life studying these things and meet with such skepticism. So maybe we are looking at some new species. And he's right; it would be a tremendous scientific discovery.
Yeah, that's right. It would.
Larry, thank you very much, and Cliff, thank you too. We'll be right back with the author of Bad Guys. Stay with us.
If you're enjoying all this rare and unique content, please show your support by subscribing and leaving comments.